All right, I say yesterday we started a Gavaldiga Hagdama, a little bit of an introduction, Shleimel, good morning, into the Sugya of Mamachik, which is the Malacha of smoothing. We gave a little bit of a Hagdama, a little bit of an understanding. I would like to go weiter today. Tomorrow, Be'ezras Hashem B'li Neder, we're going to have a demonstration. We're going to bring in the creams and the various, we're going to go through the different madregas of Daraisa, Durabonon, and of course Mutar Lechatchila that we're going to get through tomorrow. We're going to talk about all different types of creams. We're going to have a whole demonstration situation to see the Hagdara. First we're going to understand the Hagdara, and then we're going to see which cream fits into which, section of Daraisa, Durabonon, or Mutar. Moshe, you with me? Gavaldik. So that's going to be tomorrow, Be'ezras Hashem. Today I just want to go weiter a little bit more into the sugi to understand, again, just to reiterate this point. Dobi, you with me? Very, very important to reiterate this idea that mamachik and mamreach is basically the malacha of smoothing. Whether it means you're taking an item, like we said yesterday, taking Play-Doh, something very, very thick, and forming it into a shape, that would be mamachik. Or taking something like a cream, which we'll get to, and smoothing it out, which will be mamreach. Again, we'll talk about the Hagdaras in Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow. Hopefully we'll try to go through that. But the idea generally is to smooth something down, and it applies to many, many different situations. Today I want to go through as many examples as I possibly can to try and see what fits into the sugya of mamachik and mamreach. So the first thing is the Gemara talks about this interesting case. The Gemara talks about an idea, what they used to do in the olden days, because those of you, which I don't think anybody was, right? Nobody was Shabbos and Mezbush over here, right? Nobody was Shabbos and Mezbush. Rabbi Rothstein was. But I don't think anybody was here, right, at the time. Shabbos and Mezbush was one of our first trips we did in the yeshiva, right? What is it, 5 years ago already now? Something like that, yeah. First year of yeshiva, we did Shabbos and Mezbush. Unbelievable. One of the things, out of the whole trip, it was an amazing trip. Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to go back. We have to, if worldly affairs allow us back in Mezbush, Be'ez Hashem will go back as soon as we possibly can, as soon as I could do it without the parents killing me for taking the boys over there to Ukraine. But in Mitzvah Hashem, B'li Neder, we hope to go back. It was a wonderful Shabbos. One of the things that we noticed were that the ground, right, the floor over there was just like the old-fashioned earth floors, dirt floors. There was none of this like outside nice, tar and pavement and bricks and stones. It was an old-fashioned way. Now, in the old days of Chazal, the Gemara talks about this. The Gemara in Shabbos says that when they walked into shul, they had a problem. What was the problem? The problem was that under their shoes was mud, right? Because the whole, especially it was raining, it was muddy everywhere. It's not geschmack. I can't walk into a shul with muddy shoes. You can't do that. So the Gemara talks about the following thing, that they used to have outside, the Magen Avraham talks about it, Mamish Mefurish, that they used to have this metal bar, and it was a very, very sharp edge, like a corner of a metal bar. And the olim, but when they walked into shul, as they walked in, they would scrape their shoes on this metal bar, and this would allow them to, scrape off all of the mud on the bottom of their shoes. They can enter the shul in a normal kavadika oifen. That was the idea that the Gemara talks about. Now, the biggest problem obviously was mamachik. What was the problem with mamachik? Because often if you have leather shoes, the leather sole, the bottom of the shoe, can be straightened, can be smoothed out when you take a very, very sharp surface and you smooth it and you press it against it. So there could be a problem of mamachik. The Pri Megadim has a similar shaila, like gabi a knife. If you take a knife that's dirty and you scrape it off, right? This is the Gemara. The Gemara Beitza says that let's say you don't have enough food for an Erev Tavshinim, right? We just had Pesach, most of the Olim and Chutz La'aretz had the Shaila of Erev Tavshinim, right? And the Gemara says, what if you don't have enough food right now to go and prepare? Baruch Hashem, now we live Baravchus, we have matzahs, we have eggs, no problem to make Erev Tavshinim. But days of Chazal, it wasn't so simple. So the Gemara says in Beitza, what do you do if you don't have enough food for the Erev Tavshinim? Very simple, says the Gemara. You take your knife, and you scrape it on the edge of a plate, both sides. No, you have enough food over here for Erev Tavshinin, right? Knives were very, very hard to clean. So the Gemara tells us, right? So Shaila, those of you that are familiar with Yeridea, some Tzadi Dalet, the halachas of knives, Legabe, all sorts of Shailas of Yeridea. Not so poshut whether or not you can or cannot have a clean knife, right? Mamash not poshut. You look at all the Svarim Ekdosh, no one really says that nowadays our knives are considered to be clean. All right, whatever. It's a Sugya of Ne'atzma. There is one sefer that says it, but whatever it is. You can buy it in the local bookstore, you'll know what it is. Al Kaponim, when it comes to a knife, it could also be something that's not clean. So you scrape it off, and because it's a Pri Megadim, you have a problem of mamachik. Zug the poskim nowadays, the same shaila could theoretically be with a pot. You take a pot and you scrape it, mamachek, you're smoothing the pot. Now again, let's think for a moment, right? Moish, nowadays you take a pot, you take a knife, you're smoothing the pot when you clean it down? Zevi, what are you tying her? Like, you're not doing that. Why not? Because it's just, it's very good, by the way. It's very true, that, by the way. That answer is a very true answer. There are certain things that we just know, it's fine. I don't know. We'll figure it out, right? They asked Rav Shlomo Zalman one time if taking out lice from the hair on Shabbos is a shaila of boira. It's a shaila of boira. So he said it's mutter. We'll figure out afterwards why the tshuva, we'll write the tshuva how it's mutter, but avadim it's mutter, right? Certain things, it's avadim mutter, the shaila is why. Okay, they asked some sofer in Yehudah, some Kuf Mamalef, right, where he talks about the sugya of combing the hair. If you're allowed to comb the payas area, or is that a shaila of taking off your payas, right? Because you comb it, right? The Gemara tells us in Nazir, everyone knows the Gemara in Nazir in Membeis, that talks about a Nazir that can't use a comb. Shulchan Aruch talks about the end of Siman Shin Gimel as well. Also the same idea, using a comb on Shabbos takes out the hair. It's about it. It's a psik reisha, right? Psik reisha in Mshechas, the Maram Shev. Anyway, the point is that when you take a comb, the Chassam Sofer says you're over the payas area, even if you don't have long payas, even if you have short hair, but you take a comb, if there's a knot there, you're ripping out the payas. So the after some sofa, you're allowed to comb your hair in the area of the payas. So some sofa Yehudah is some kumafalo. Avadav it's mutter. How do I know it's mutter? He said the Motek Teretz. He said, you know how I know it's mutter? Because my Rebbe did it. Reb Nosson Adler, the Rebbe of the Chassam Sofer, right? The Chassam Sofer had many Rebbes, the Haflah, but also Reb Nosson Adler. He said my Rebbe did it. If my Rebbe did it, then I know it's mutter. Afterwards, he wrote the reason why al pi halacha it's mutter. But the first thing he said, if my Rebbe did it, then I know it's mutter. Right? That's the aside. Okay. Now, the Rabbi said, let's move on. How did we even get onto this?
He said because.
Oh, because Levi, I love you. Beautiful. Thank you. Moving on. So nowadays, all the poskim say that scraping your bottom of the shoe, especially most of our shoes have rubber soles, but even if they're leather, you're not going to be smoothing. Tolly, you asking to me? You're not going to be smoothing the sole of your shoe when you scrape it on the, sometimes people do that on the table as well. You're going to scrape it off. You're going to smooth the sole.
It's going to just smooth it out and your shoe flows a little rough.
Pots, knives, all of these things have no shaila with mamachek. Let's move on to Rabbi Isai. I don't know exactly where you davened as a kid, but if you did and they gave you candies out as kids. You ever saw kids do this in shul? They take the wrapper when it's finished and they scrape it out and they straighten it out. Ever saw kids do this? Yeah. Okay, so I'm not the only one. Okay, fine. As long as I know I'm not the only one. You have the kids, right? Idla, you know what I'm talking about, right? You take that chocolate coins, right? Very good. Take out, you smooth it out with your nail, all these things. Is that a shaila b'machik on Shabbos? Are you allowed to do that? Like if you see a kid doing that on Shabbos, you have to scream Shabbos, and forget the stones, forget the cars outside. The guy in shul, he's taking his little, he's taking his nail and he's bored. I guess I don't know what it is. Maybe he doesn't understand the kedusha of Chazaros Hashatz and the Kafachaim Al Pi Kabbalah the Zoya, how important it is the Chazaros Hashatz, and he's busy, scraping it out over there. Shabbos, what are you doing? What do we do with such a guy, Zeb? What do we do with such a guy? We take him to the second floor, the Mishnah in Sanhedrin, right? And everybody claps, make a suda after his Yutzat, Kanzazach, right? What do you do? Rabbi said, what do you So Reb Nissen Karelitz, Rabbi says, Zatzal, has the following suffix. And his suffix is as follows. Do we say that the malacha of smoothing is kapshutoi, to smooth something out? Asher, are you smoothing it out? Yes. So that's it, you're not allowed. Or is the pshat of smoothing like it was done in the Mishkan, which was by smoothing something, you're removing something, which is what we said yesterday was the whole Hagdara of the Malacha, was taking off the hair of the skin, thus you were smoothing it. And therefore over here you're not removing anything, Yaakov. If that's the case, maybe it's mutter. So Lamaisa, in this case, what do you do? So I asked, both at the time I was learning by both Rebbe Zul Orbach and Rafalk, and Lamaisa, both of them told me that it's 100% mutter. There is no problem with smoothing a piece of paper, a piece of aluminum foil, or whatever it may be. There is no problem on Shabbos Kodesh to do that. What about a snowball?
What if you're removing message like a butter?
If you're removing, the butter itself?
The butter is on that thing, you're scraping that off because you want to get it off.
Because you want to get the butter off. That also be fine. We'll talk about Machem Ma'orichem. Hopefully we'll get a minute to talk about Machem Ma'orichem. What's that?
Shavuos is coming up, yeah?
By the cheese. How about the Shavuos? Very good with the cheese. Chanukah, right? Chanukah is really deep. All right. Fleisch shakes, milk shakes. All right, Seder. We'll talk about Shvi'is, Me'ez Hashem, when we get to it. But I'll put him snowballs, making a snowball. You take snow, pat it down, smooth it out, geschmack. The only way, where were we? Romania, right? Romania. The owner remembers in Romania, right? I stayed far away, and the owner had a lot of fun. Is that a shayla on Shabbos of mamachik, smoothing out the snow? I don't know. If you smooth it out, is that a problem on Shabbos? Is that a problem of mamachik? That could be, but for the amount of time that they need it for, it will last. So I asked this question to Rav Falk Zatzal, and he told me that avada it is, if you're doing it and you're packing it down and whatever it is. He also timed it could be a shayla. This is him l'shitoseh. For those of you that have learned Machzor Chelik Aleph, that also tells on a shayla of kosev. It's actually writing. Who ever thought about such a thing? Making a snowball is a shayla of ksiva on Shabbos, because you're making a form. He has a whole chiddush by Lego. Okay, not talking about it now. Shaping anything that has a meaningful shape could be kosev. I don't want to go down to that door of kosev, but yes, it could be. Moving on. By the way, it could also be. There's another one. It could also be. What else could it be? Boina. Very good. It could also be boina. Look at this. Boina, mamachek, kosev. How many times did we give a guy skila already? It's unbelievable. Anyway, let's move on. Rabbi, a little biter. Earplugs. Earplugs. Are earplugs a shayla of mamachek? Now, I don't know which class you fly, but on most classes they don't give you earplugs. But for those of you that they give you a little packet when you get to your seat, and I'll go upon there are two types of earplugs. Earplug number one is almost like a sponge. You push it down, it flings straight up. That's fine. But then they make one, it's almost like a silicone, it's almost like rubber. You push it down and it retains its shape. And you put that into your ear. That is a problem of mamachik. Could be a shayla of Anissa Doraisa on Shabbos, of a person that uses earplugs on Shabbos and squeezes it, that retains its shape. Could be a shayla of earplugs. Moving on, Rabbi Yisai. Is there, wax, of course, we'll talk about that tomorrow when we talk about creams. Now, is there mamachik ba'odam? Is there smoothing when it comes to a human being or not? That is the shayla. So there's a tshuva in the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer in tshuvas brings down that there is mamachik, it's a big chiddush, so the Heilige Chassam Sofer. There is mamachik by something that is alive, right? And therefore, he says, two examples, smoothing out your nail, apart from obviously the shayla of goizes, thank you, I don't know who said that, but whoever said it, that's kavaldik, thank you. Even smoothing out your nail is a shayla of goizes, but it's also a shayla of mamachik, according to Chassam Sofer. And listen to this, Rabbi, said, big chiddush. Ready for this chiddush? Chassam Sofer says, I wouldn't be able to say it totally if not for Chassam Sofer saying it. So the Heilige Chassam Sofer, you take a white hair, and it bothers you, that it's in there amongst all the black ones. If you have only white, then you're okay. But if you have boire, but also the Chassam Sofer, mamachik. It's a moedike chiddush. Why is mamachik? Why is it not goizes? Can you be chayiv on to the Kesef Mishnah? Whatever. There's a lot to discuss, but that's what he says over there. The Rav Elyashiv Zatzal paskin the halacha lemaisa like this Chassam Sofer to be choishish for it, and therefore be very, very careful how to do that. The Svarim bring down the feed of Chassam Sofer if a person has a scab on his skin. Again, without getting involved in the shayla of goizes, because if you have a scab and you rip it off, you could be over of either goizes taking off skin that some of it could be alive, or of course shchita by causing it to bleed if it's going to be a psikresha. But according to the Chassam Sofer, they tiny, you're smoothing out your skin, and therefore it could be a problem of a market. The Meiser Reb Chaim Kanievsky was cholik on his shver Rav Elyashiv, and Reb Chaim Kanievsky held that there's no raya whatsoever that there's mamachik by something alive, and he brings Kedarkei HaKodesh many rayas to show that there's no mamachik. But again, Rav Elyashiv held that you're dealing with a doraisa, it's kedai to be careful over there. In fact, the Svarim bring down, they bring it b'shem. Tosfos, of course. Tosfos brings down that a person that gives a massage to a baby with oil, be very, very careful that you're not smoothing out the skin when you give it. As sometimes babies require oil on for example, they have cradle cap on their and on the scalp. It could be very negeya. They have certain oils that they do to be able to massage it in. You've got to be very careful. Zuk the poskim again. It's a Tosfos in Shabbos Ayin Gimel Amud Beis, which will the post Svarim bring down. You've got to be careful. Let's move on to one last sugya for today, because tomorrow I want to get to creams, and that is food. The olim were asking yesterday, is there a shayla of smoothing when it comes to food? Very negeya. Where is this negeya? You have tuna, and you anyone English here? Oh, tuna. Got it? Just in case you didn't understand. You have tuna and you spread it onto the bread. Is that a problem of mamachik? Is that a problem of mamreya? Or avocado? You smooth it. Cream cheese, chocolate spread, peanut butter. All of these things. You take a cracker and you put peanut butter on it. You smooth it on. Tuli. Is that a problem of mamachik, mamreya? Or is it not a shaila? According to what we're saying, smoothing something is a problem. So if smoothing is something is a problem, might have to mean if it's a piece of peanut butter or it's a pizza or it's a toothpaste. Right? Why is it not smoothing? Ooh, Menachem saying very good. Menachem saying very, very good. Menachem saying a lom de shavot lemaisa. Menachem saying a very lom de shavot. There's something called smoothing and then something called smearing, which I'll call spreading. Let's explain. Very, very good. You're saying beautiful. Very, very good. The Modcha brings down, right? The Darkei Moshe brings down the Shittas HaModcha, that the Darkei Moshe says that the Modcha, there's no ibud ba'oichlim. Ibud means preserving. There's also no mamreach when it comes to oichlim. The main reason who said that, I think Dubi said this for him. It's not going to last. Anything that doesn't last might not necessarily be a malacha, which means Zuk the Modcha, there's no smoothing when it comes to food, right? And the Azoi Paskim the Ramah brings this to halacha lemaisa. Look this up in Shinchov Aleph Sif Yud Test. The Ramah says there is no spreading and smoothing problems when it comes to food. However, and this is important, however, and then we'll get to Menachem's Ha'ora over here, which is very, very important. The Ramah brings down that if someone is machmir, not to spread food, ha-machmir tovoy olav bracha. Now, Rabbi, so let me ask the Olam Akasha. If one of the Gedolim would come right now to give a bracha, Mistoma the Olam would line up for an hour or something to get a bracha from him. Imagine if the Heilige Chassam Sofer, and Reb Shai ben Reb Moshe was here giving out brachas, the Olam would wait for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, maybe even longer. The Heilige Ramah is giving out brachas over here and telling us, machmir tovoy olav bracha, meaning if you're machmir not to spread and shmear whatever we do like door in the moment, then machmir tovoy olav bracha. So which means according to Ramah, really it's mutar, but the Ramah seems to be choished for the shittas that hold you shouldn't, and therefore because of that, be machmir, you get a bracha from it, from the Ramah. So what does that mean, halacha lemaisa? It means as follows. There's a difference between spreading, I guess, and smoothing. So, for example, if you have a cake, chocolate cake, and you're putting a chocolate icing on it. So how do you do that? You need to not smear it. You need to smooth it down, the sides, all nice, the top. That's a real smoothing situation. Smoothing situations, again, me'ikad in muta. So vinegar yontov, you make cakes, icing, whatever. Could be muta, could also the bishul and the afiyah could be muta. But the spreading, hamachmed tova or bracha, not to do it. What if, for example, you have avocado, chocolate spread, peanut butter, whatever? So there, I'm not smoothing it on my cracker. That's not the purpose of what I'm doing. What am I doing? I'm smearing it. I'm spreading it over the cracker. That's fine. That's not it. It's no smoothing. So there, even the Ramah would say there's no mokum to be machmeh, and there's no problem with spreading, peanut butter, chocolate spread, avocado, whatever it is, over my bread, over my challah, over my cracker, because I'm not smoothing, I'm spreading. The only problem would be, what if you have, for example, like you go to a hotel, or certain yeshivas also, that they have like these beautiful dishes with all nice things inside over there, with salads and tuna and avocado, all things over there, and they smooth it down. They pat it down, they pat down the tuna. You ever saw that before? Right? I'm sure in the Pesach programs they probably have these nice trays and these nice containers, and they pat down the tuna, right, Toli? Make it look all nice. The oil, they make it nice, right? Is that mutar on Shabbos? That will be Tovel HaBracha of the Ramah not to do it. Why? Because then you're not doing it to spread it over the bowl. You're doing it to decorative purposes, and therefore it looks nice. That's called smoothing as opposed to spreading. And then, Me'ikadin it's mutar, Tovel HaBracha not to do that. Tomorrow, Rabbi say, join us for demonstrations of creams on Shabbos Kodesh.